Okay, now this again can seem like a lot of work, right? For the trader that is not into this type of tracking or this type of systematic kind of performance tracking, this is going to seem like a lot of work. But like everything else, in the end, you do it in your head, right? So you only have to do this for a while before this is automatically happening in your brain while you're looking at the trade, right? And it could even be happening on the background in your brain while you're analyzing some other part of the trade idea, right? So again, what I would do, trade idea score, right? So what I would do is just write down the things that I look for normally, right? And these are this is from 2016. Yeah, so a lot of things probably have changed in what I look for. But these are the things that you place, right? You have a system. And then what I would do is I would assign a weight of 10 to the perfect Confluence setup, and then I would distribute those points depending on, some of them would have 2, the other ones would have 1, right? Does that make sense to everybody? And I did this in Excel, and then this would give me a score, and I would go into my trade planning sheet, and I would put the score right beside the trade idea, and then I would be able to track which ones of the trades would work, right, based on the score over time, and then determine whether I had to, tweak here or not. And so far, so good. Psych number. Oh, that was a psychological number. Back in the day, the double zeros and the 500s on the charts or something that I looked at. Now, I have to say that I don't look at that at all unless it's parity, right? Which everybody looks at. But those were psychological figures, which some analysts still use. So, it's a perfectly valid little confluence factor, right? When you hit those even 000s on the on the prices, or those 500s, those midpoints, those critical midpoints on the numbers. But I don't use that much. And I don't know what else is here that is obsolete. The rest is all good still, right? We still look at overextensions, right? That's like, did you get an overextension? Is it highly overbought or oversold? 7, 8, 9 days of continuous momentum, right? Are stochastics buried in turning? We look at that, right? Or peaked in turning. Fibs, we look at that. Do we have more multiple fib confluence from different moves or different time frames? Hard support or resistance areas, also from different time frames, right? Would give different weights, psychological number, stop hunts I would look for, those kind of wicks and the resistance and support. Don't look at that. Maybe I look at that on price action. So I would substitute that for like recent price action, right? Confluence in the moving averages, sentiment. I would also add the SHI, which I started using after 2016. And pretty much that. What else do we look at? That's it, right? That's all I have on my charts. My charts as naked as they get. I would add a harmonics now as well, which I wasn't very well versed in 2016. Actually, I was, but I had dismissed them 100%, right? And then I found the ZUP that clouded my chart like a demon right out of the hellmouth, and I decided to fight it. And I managed to tackle the settings to only spot this, and it took me hours upon hours of settings to just figure out how to turn off all the other crap and just have this. That's why when somebody asks me for the harmonic indicator, I say, yeah, just go look somewhere else because I'm not going to put you through this. Yeah. And there's a PZ harmonic indicator. There's some easier ones than this one. This was a personal battle and a matter of pride more than anything for me. So I use that one now, and that's it. So I would add harmonics, and again, you're going to add whatever you use, right? So I don't consider guppy waves. The guppies are pretty cool, but I encompass those into the MAs. Yeah. And because I only have them on the H4 and not all my plans are on the H4, I try to use for the trade idea score. I try to put it in a way in which I can do my trade plan on any time frame. So the guppies are part of the MA's Confluence. Currency strength is based on sentiment, and that is there always. And the other thing you have is break of structure. Yeah, that's support resistance, trend trading. I would also add trend lines to that one, right? For example, because I do use trend lines. The break of structure, you mean a break and then a return to that level, so a price action pattern, right? So you would add price action patterns, but that's pretty much price action, which is the one that I said would go instead of the prior H1 or H4 wick that I showed you, right? That would now be price action, and that would include how far from guppy waves is the same thing for me as how far price is from averages, which is the same thing as overextension in price. So yeah, I do have that there and use it. You'll notice that I use things like Elliott waves or Renko or whatever other, I try to use the things that I've seen most of the bigger analysts use and refer to, or anything that hedge funds use and things like that, right? And it's still a lot of things, and you might still want to trim them down, but because it's on a score system, it can add half a point, right? If it's not something that you look at all the time. For the moving averages, I look at the moving averages. For example, just as an example, if price is here, forget this price action. If price is here, and I'm thinking of a trade idea, right? I'm looking at the 100 MA. It could be a resistive point of a confluence, so I add that to the confluence that I'm looking at. I'm not going to add the 200 MA because it has nothing to do with my current trade. Yep. I might actually consider this a potential crossover, but that is part of the MAs affecting and supporting my trade idea. And that is a yes or no question. If a yes, I assign X points. If it's a no, it gets 0 points. And that's how I used to do it. Yeah. The SHI would be a confluence factor here. Stochastics would not, right? And so far and so forth. Does everybody understand? And that's why I think it's good for you to make yours, because you use your confluence factors, the one that you look at the most. But I could certainly update that chart with what I look at now. And if anybody wants it, I can give you the Excel spreadsheet for that as well. But you can put that together in 5 minutes. And just to add a little, how I used to have a score box and a total and an automatic formula to score it, and you can do whatever you want, right? And then on my trading plan, I would have back in the day when I tracked my trading plan in a single Excel spreadsheet with all the information you can imagine. I had, assets, the setup information, as in why I took the trade, what time frame the entry was planned in, where the next entries were. Was it a swing or a intraday or a shorter term intraday? How many positions was I planning? One of the boxes was the trade idea score. Yep. Notches on a key. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. If keys with more notches are better, then yeah, indeed. I don't know much about keys, but he definitely. I mean, I think that's something that you encounter in pretty much all the methodologies that you come across over time, right? Is the more things that are in your favor when you make a decision, the better. And it's just a distillation of that content into that. And then what else did I have on my trade planning sheet? I had notes that I updated daily. I had targets. I had the fundamental direction of the trade. I had the sentiment direction of the trade. Day in, day out. I had the technical direction of the trade as well. I had the cycle for the current central bank. Anyway, I don't think anybody needs to get to that level. But if you're wondering what kind of crap I pulled off, as a young trader, those are the things that I used to do. And like I said, all these things have a moral, and it's that if they help your discipline and they help your I guess your progress by allowing you to visualize certain things that are otherwise relatively intangible, then it's a win. Yeah. And then they end up helping more than they do, more than being an obstacle, which they never really were. I mean, other than the time that it took, but I found that time well invested. Yeah. Does that make sense up to here to everybody? Again, I don't think that it is mandatory to have a trade idea system in place, but your brain needs to have a trade idea system in place. A score, sorry, right? Subconsciously or consciously, while you're looking at Confluence, you need to know what you're giving more weight to, right? You need to know if that setup is on asset XXXYYY is better than the one on AABBB, right? Yeah, it's part of spotting trades and being selective and trade planning and portfolio planning.